Broadcasting live from the ruins of Tonisborg, it is I, the OGGM. It is 10 o'clock in the morning on the 28th day of August in the year of our Lord, Steve the Cat, 2023. It's about 72 degrees and sunny here at Site B, and we're taking a look at the Lost Dungeons of Tonisborg from our friend Greg Svenson, creator, and the mystery of this long missing in action but now recently refound product, which, if you believe what it reads, is the first or second dungeon ever created for D&D. So today we're going to go over the introduction and maybe take a look at the history of this mysterious place. So this is what it says on the back. Tonisborg is a living dungeon. For the game master, you will learn how to imbue your own games with the true flavor of adventures and exploration of the original fantasy gaming group in Minnesota, who first explored these catacombs. For you, the player, the most important thing that you will learn is that Tonisborg is deadly. Players who wander in casually expecting to kill monsters and gather treasure effortlessly will find a quick and easy demise. This is a type of dungeon that requires stealth, cunning, and tactical savvy if one expects to once again see the light of day. Tonisborg Island raises tar into the river's mouth, where silent waters flow sluggishly into the icy sea as it passes by both the island and one of the North's largest cities built into the nearby shore. The island itself is an outcast suburb of the city where a thieves' den of seedy establishments, slave auctions, and ramshackle slums nestles between the smuggler's port that even the town guard avoids patrolling, all of which is firmly under the thumb of the Order Draconin. The island rises higher to the south, where atop a high promontory are shattered the ruins of an old tower. Whether built for defense or as a beacon for ships navigating the river, none now remember. Amidst these ruins can be found the entrance to an ancient catacomb. The ruins are an open secret, closely guarded by the Order Dracone and their allies, and used for their own nefarious purposes. Few, however, even of these rough characters, dare to go beyond the first level into the horrid depths below. What lies deep in the unknown but promises incredible wealth and power for the brave explorer to discover, or the fool, like me, to die trying. Beware, for it is said that sleeping in the lowest levels are in the nightmare terrors from the time of the dark gods and primeval horrors. If you dare enter this dungeon, tread lightly and pray the greater gods and Steve the Cat have mercy. Player immersion is the goal for you, the referee of this dungeon. This book will teach you how to make the game seem real. Remember, this is an imaginary fantasy. Imaginary, not real. It can't hurt you. Full of magical discovery and the dread of fearsome monsters. You'll learn to keep your players on the edge of their seat as you weave a tale of adventures for them. You hear the distant dripping sound. You smell burning hair. You see droplets of blood on the ground. You feel something touch your neck. The door behind you slams shut. A sudden breeze blows out all the torches. Someone lets out a blood-curdling scribe. It all happens at the exact same time. Although much of what your players experience will be like a red herring in a mystery novel, your job is to keep the players immersed in their experience, unsure and frightened, yet curious to see what magical wonder they will discover next. This is the goal as the next referee of Tonisborg Dungeon. So that's what it says on the back. Are you excited? What is this place? Why are we doing it? So the history is, in a nutshell, without going into the long art history, is this guy wrote an adventure for D&D way back in the old days. This is like one of the first or second adventures ever written. And then somehow the copies of it got lost. People had heard about it. People had seen it. But the copies in the original notes were lost to time. Then, a couple years ago, when they were working on the Secrets of Blackmoor documentary, they were interviewing several of the people who were around back in the formative days of the D&D history, the ones that were still alive and were there. And they were going through boxes and stuff, and they found these notes that had been missing for almost 50 years from the very first dungeon adventure, from the very first D&D campaign of this dungeon called Tonisborg. So they carefully took out the notes and carefully photocopied them and started rewriting the adventure based upon the notes and based upon their memories and based upon where the hobby stands today as opposed to where it stood 50 years ago. And that gives us this, the Lost Dungeons of Tonisborg, this $30, 152-page deep dive into the early history of the hobby. It is both a adventure, a DM's guide on how to run these kind of adventures, and a history of the early days of D&D and what Gygax and Dave and those other guys wanted the game to be as opposed to what the game is today. So there we go. And this also includes updates and additions and stuff that the creator Greg wrote. Greg, also the creator of the Secrets of Blackmoor documentary. So I've been wanting to pick this up for a while. It was available on Amazon for $30, so I picked it up. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where I'll probably never have a chance to run it, but you know, I've wanted it, and I've been curious about it. And of course, as somebody who's interested in the history of the hobby, it's an interesting read. So I picked it up, and it showed up, and that was the introduction. Do you want to hear me go through this more, or do you want to hear more about the history of the Lost Dungeon of Tonisborg? There's a link down below if you haven't picked this up and you want to pick it up. We can read the history, we can start reading through the adventure, or we can never look at it ever again, but I thought I'd mention it. So here's like some of the write-up of some of the rooms, like room number 1, soldiers, 12s from straight and get less to wear. I get this is I don't know if this is monsters or treasure. It says room 5, Basilisk, guarding a +1 shield and 2 spells. Room 6, 3 trolls. Room 7, green slime. Room 8, 2 gorgons. Room 9, orc tribe of 40 orcs. Room 10, a barlog, so 40 orcs in room 9. Let's see how big room 9 is. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's a 15 by 15 room with 40 orcs and a troll in it. The classic D&D math. I mean, hopefully they have rewritten it and made this slightly more interesting, and a lot of DM notes in here and more playable. I mean, do people still want to go through a dungeon where there's just a room and for some reason there's just, an unbelievably weird amount of monsters in it, and in the next room over there's another completely different weird amount of monsters? Oh, room 13 has got 37 first level fighters in it that never leave, and room 14 has got 6 giant rats in it. How come the guys in room 13 have never killed the I mean, yeah, it feels like, hopefully they have taken that bizarre weird style of the old D&D. Everybody always talks about how good the old days were and how dungeons were so much better in the old days. No, that's literally what lots of the early dungeons were like. Nonsensical, random, like nobody were shopping malls of monsters. So let me know if you want to hear me go through this again. If you're curious about it, there's a link down below. We will continue reading it if we want, or we'll never look at it again. Till next time, see ya. I'm tired.